Coming up on today's show, we're going to be breaking down the latest after Dalton Risner met with the Bengals yesterday. And then also, is Trey Hendrickson getting close on a deal with the Bengals? We'll talk about the latest reporting on that as well. Before we get into that, though, if the Bengals sign Dalton Risner or if they drop that Trey Hendrickson contract extension, we will have a video for you guys. I'll drop whatever I'm doing at the moment and get a video out ASAP for you, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button and stay up to date on all things Bengals news. All right, first up on today's show, free agent offensive guard Dalton Risner met and worked out for the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday, but left without a deal being done. Jordan Schultz did report that yesterday, did say it was a strong meeting, but unfortunately, it was not strong enough to get that deal done with Dalton Risner. After he ended up leaving that meeting, it was also reported that he will be taking other meetings as well. He took that visit with the Bengals yesterday, and then he is also expected to meet with the Seattle Seahawks, and he's also considering a meeting with the Steelers as well. Jeremy Fowler saying that he wants to take multiple visits before he ends up making that decision. And I do think it would be smart if the Bengals could land Dalton Risner as a free agent signing here to help their offensive line because, as we know, they're a little bit banged up at that offensive guard spot right now. In the previous 5 seasons for Dalton Risner, he played 100% of snaps at that left guard spot. Now, last season was the first year that he actually played at that right guard spot, had 100% of his snaps at right guard. So I would assume that's really where the Bengals would want him to be, with Dylan Fairchild being pretty solid as of right now on that left side. So, there could be a little bit of left-right guard position flex for him there, and the Bengals really do need some offensive guard help right now. So we'll see in the future if they can get that deal done. But let me know down at the pinned comment of today's video, would you sign Dalton Risner? At this point, I kind of think most Bengals fans are going to say Y for yes, but let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no down at the pinned comment of today's video. Now, this offensive line does need a little bit of help right now. Does Dalton Risner help this offensive line? I'm just going to go out and say maybe. I'm not going to say it's 100% because you never know. Look, Lucas Patrick was pretty solid the past couple of years for the Saints, but what we have seen from him so far just has not been very good. And Dalton Risner, while he has been one of the better offensive guards in the NFL since he came into the league with the Denver Broncos, he's never made a Pro Bowl, and he's never been an All-Pro either. So there is no guarantee that he's just going to be able to come in and, 100% guaranteed a starting spot for him. Cody Ford is banged up right now. Lucas Patrick hasn't really played well, and he's kind of banged up right now as well. But Cody Ford and Lucas Patrick do offer a little bit more position flex than Dalton Risner could. I don't think Dalton Risner would be able to play those tackle positions, and I don't think they would put him at that center spot. He hasn't played any of those positions throughout his 6-year NFL career here. Jalen Rivers, though, did play 51 snaps at right guard on Monday night versus the Washington Commanders, and I thought he played okay at that spot. And Dalton Risner also last year before the season dealt with some back issues as well to start the season. So, he missed the first 4 games of the year. So, that is definitely something that I think you have to consider. But, we'll continue to keep you guys updated on what happens with this offensive line room, and especially that right guard spot for the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, today's show is brought to you guys by PrizePicks. Preseason football is underway, and college football is also back. So do not miss out on any of the action this season with PrizePicks. I personally use PrizePicks for so many different sporting events, whether it's professional football, baseball, basketball, MMA, boxing. PrizePicks has so many different things that you guys can play on there. PrizePicks is a ton of fun, and if you guys know ball, you can win real money all season long on PrizePicks. And if you see these deals like this NFL Max discount, make sure you get that in your PrizePicks lineup. A massive deal on week 1 of the NFL season. Dak Prescott only needs a half passing yard, so that's almost certainly going to happen. So do not miss out. Make sure you guys put that in your PrizePicks lineup. PrizePicks is very simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. PrizePicks also invented the flex play, which means you guys can cash out if your lineup is not perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. So download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link's going to be down in the description at the pinned comment of today's video. We'll also make sure to put it in the comment section of today's video as well. It's PrizePicks. Run your game. Now with the latest on Trey Hendrickson, there has been a little bit more of an update than there was, previously here. There have been multiple reports on kind of where things sit right now with Trey Hendrickson and his contract negotiations. And, it's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been, words gone back and forth, from Trey Hendrickson and this Bengals front office. And, from what I have seen, Bengals fans are very split right now on which side to take with Trey Hendrickson. And to be clear, I can see both sides of the argument here. One side, and I think rightfully so, says that the Bengals front office is cheap and these types of negotiations are always an issue. To be fair to the front office, they got that Joe Burrow deal done. They got the Jamar Chase deal done. They got the T. Higgins deal done, and nobody thought that was going to happen. And they also, on top of all of that, got a Mike Gesicki deal done as well. But, I agree, you are totally valid to have that take because the the T. Higgins situation was a massive hassle to get done. There is, another group of fans that say, hey, Trey Hendrickson signed an extension a couple of years ago. Why, would he sign that knowing that we're going to be right back in this situation again? You're under contract, just go play. I think that is a fair point, too. To be fair to Trey Hendrickson, he was supposedly told that if he went out there and continued to play at a high level, that they would indeed get a deal done. Well, he did that. He went out the past 2 seasons and led the NFL in sacks, but unfortunately, we are right back here where we started in this same situation. I don't think Trey Hendrickson should have signed that extension a couple years ago. I think he should have just played out that season, had a really good season, and then he would have had the leverage either go to free agency or the Bengals sign him to a longer contract extension with those guaranteed numbers that he is looking for. Joe Burrow commented on just kind of where things sit right now with the Trey Hendrickson situation and kind of, what it's like for these Bengals contract negotiations. He said, I think historically, these deals with us have gotten done closer to week 1. I signed on the Thursday before the first game in 2023. Jamar's contract started to pick up that week before last year too, and we were able to get T and Jamar done early this year, so that was great. But I think historically, the way we have done business, it tends to pick up here in the next 2 weeks or so we'll see. So I want to hear from you guys down in the comments section of today's show. Who do you blame more for this Trey Hendrickson situation right now? I think both parties are to blame, to be honest, so you could also type B for both down in the comments section, but Mom and Dad are fighting again. So let me know whose side you are on. Type FO if you blame the Bengals front office, or type TH if you think Trey Hendrickson is more to blame in this situation. All right, so Albert Breer had an update yesterday as well. I guess you could call it an update here. Just kind of talking about the trade offers. The Bengals were listening to trade offers. They want defensive help if they were to get a trade deal done, plus picks. Obviously, the picks would not help them here in 2025. I think if you were going to trade Trey Hendrickson, it should have been done before the NFL draft, so you could have gotten an opportunity to get more in some of that draft compensation there. Also noting that the Bengals have offered Trey Hendrickson a massive average per year, but lacks the guarantees that he wants, so the standoff continues. That's kind of something that we already knew, that the guarantees were the big thing, and Laura Rutledge also kind of reiterating the same thing on Monday Night Football as well, saying Hendrickson reiterated that guaranteed money is the holdup in these contract negotiations. They agree on the average salary. They agree on the years, but Hendrickson believes his play warrants more guaranteed money than what the Bengals want to pay, even though he turns 31 in December. Now, Hendrickson also did confirm that there has been no progress here on the guaranteed side of things, and he is prepared to sit out if needed. It's also worth noting that there has been no progress on any trades either. That hasn't even gotten close. Now, guaranteed money always seems to be the holdup for the Cincinnati Bengals in these contract situations. They tried to put that language into the Shamar Stewart contract to void some of that guaranteed money. Owner Mike Brown said that they didn't want to pay players to just go sit in jail. And first off, why would you take a guy in the first round if you think that there is even a slight possibility that he could be arrested? You don't just vet the skills or the medicals for these players in the draft process. You vet the player as well. And if you think there is some kind of character issues where he could be arrested in the future, you don't take him in the first round. But ask yourself, do you really think that Trey Hendrickson is somebody that you can't trust? Has he ever given you a reason not to trust him? He has been a leader. Even though he's holding in right now, he's out there. He's helping some of the younger guys with their technique and just trying to pass on some of his pass rushing knowledge to those guys. He is the best player on this Bengals defense. And if you want a shot at winning the Super Bowl in the Joe Burrow era, you have got to be better on defense, and having Trey Hendrickson out there is the first step in that process. You have to let your pride go and pay the man what he's worth.